Ghana School of Law has recorded another mass failure in this year's entrance exams. 1,820 candidates sat for this year's bar exam, but only 128 students have passed. The exam was made up of 20 objectives and 2 written questions. The results have been pasted at the school's notice board for the viewing of the students. This development comes in the wake of massive public concerns over last year's results, which also registered significant failures. From all indications, the situation doesn't seem to be getting any better. Let's get onto the phone and interact with lawyer and member of the Legal and Constitutional Committee, Mr. Inusa Fuseni, for more. Good morning, Mr. Fuseni. Okay, we're still trying to get our hands on Mr. Fuseni, but joining us on Skype is a third-year law student at GIMPA who has written extensively about the failures in the recent past. His name is Gabriel Obroni, and he's joining me this morning. Good morning, Gabriel.
Good morning, Anima.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Well, first, share your experiences with us. Having to sit and write some of these examinations, what has that journey been like?
Currently, I'm in my final year at the GIMPA Law School. I've witnessed since I came there in my first year, my senior colleagues who have to write. Some have written twice, others I've heard stories of people who have written almost 5 times, and consistently they keep failing. So the narrative I've always been like the students are the problem. The quality is poor. But if you are the faculty and you get to interact with the level of students who are sitting for these exams, these are students.
Okay, well, we've lost the connection with him, but we're talking to a third-year law student about his fears and his concerns and when it comes to what's happening at the Ghana Law School. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll speak to him as well as Mr. Inusa Fuseni. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to JoyNews Desk. We're returning to our earlier conversation with Gabriel, who we were speaking to on Skype. Gabriel, welcome back. It's all right. Okay, so we were talking about some of your major concerns in terms of the number of people that are failing this exam. So first question is, how does it make you feel? Because you are going to be writing that exam as well very soon, aren't you? Yes.
Yeah. I think it's very discouraging and very demotivating when you hear that 1,820 people sat for an exam and only 128 passed. It's very, very demotivating. Even yesterday there was an experience when a lecturer walked into the classroom and was finding it difficult to even teach. It's not only the students who are demotivated, but the lecturers are demotivated themselves, because 6 out of his best students could not make it to the law school. It's either he's not teaching something right or the system is not right. So it is very discouraging and very demotivating for every single law student in this country. Very, very demotivating.
Well, yes, and of course the teachers as well, because it may seem as if then you're not being taught properly if the failures are this massive. One of the issues that has come up is a lack of transparency in terms of the fact that you have no idea what the marking scheme is. You have no idea what the pass marks are. You have no idea even of your raw scores, and you're having to sign an undertaking, and that's saying that you will not question the results that have come out. How does that make you feel?
You see, the problem is very simple. It is not a system of meritocracy. It's not who merits to be at the law school. It is a matter of sieving. They are just looking for a specific number who can fill a specific number of seats. So it's not a matter of who merits to be there or who doesn't merit to be there. So before even you sit for the exam, no matter the number of people who are going to sit for the exam, they know at the end of this exam, we can only pick 300, 400, 500. So whether 1,000 students are performing or 2,000 students are performing, they can't accommodate all the 2,000. So there should be a system by which they can cut off the number to meet the available space that they have. So this system is nothing meritorious. You go there, they can't tell you that the pass mark is 50, because if they have 1,000 people making the 50 pass mark, they can't admit all the 1,000. They can't tell you the pass mark is 70. If they have 800 people getting 80%, they can't admit all the 80%. So they can't come up with the modalities. No marking scheme, no pass mark, nothing can be shared with you because they are not playing a system of meritocracy. It
Gabriel,
is just a sieving process.
Gabriel, do you feel like this is purely a space issue, as in there are not enough spaces, or do you think that there's actually a little bit more to this?
It is purely that. You see, the General Legal Council sat down on concern. You see, we had only the School of Law at the University of Ghana producing LLB students. We had Kwame Nkrumah University coming on board. GIMPA came on board. UCC came on board. Now we have a lot of private institutions, Lancaster and all those other institutions now coming on board. So they sat down on concern. They didn't look at regulating the LLB or the faculties. And by the time they woke up one day, they had about 1,200, 3,000 students now applying into the law school. So what do we do? Now they are being faced with a basic problem. What do we do? So they needed to institutionalize a system where they can decide to block a number of people. So this whole distinction between LLB and then the professional legal education is purely superfluous.
Right.
It is not needed.
Okay.
It is not needed. There is no distinction between LLB training and then legal professional training. Okay. It is purely superfluous.
Okay, Gabriel, what I want you to do is, if you can just hold on for me, I'm bringing Prince Tanaku into the conversation. Prince is the former president for the GIMPA Law School Association, and he also just wrote this exam. I have him on the phone. Good morning, Prince, and welcome to News Desk.
Very much. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you. So you wrote this exam as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and did you get in?
Unfortunately, I didn't make it.
Okay. What do you think is the cause of this problem? Because I am very sure that you feel like, considering the questions, I've spoken to quite a few of your colleagues, and apparently the questions were not that difficult, and you were very well prepared.
Say that the questions were not that difficult is an understatement.
Right.
When you enter law school, the very, very first class is a constitutional law class in any law school. The very first class, what it teach you in your very first class within maybe the first 30 minutes, that's what came. So to say that the questions were, I don't know what is the most basic or the most fundamental thing in your line of work or in the course that you take, but you just think about that and think that, for example, we went into an integrated science exam and the question was, what is matter? Matter is anything that has weight and occupies, that has mass and occupies space. That's it, right? Right? You wouldn't expect that, you wouldn't expect that 97% of the people or 93% of the people that take an exam on what is matter are going to fail. That is a logical conclusion to come to, is it not?
Okay.
Is it not?
Yes. So tell me what you think is the actual problem that we're facing here.
I think that we all know what the problem is, and I heard my colleague on the other line talking about it. We all know what the problems are. There's a two-stage legal litigation program that you have to complete before you practice as a lawyer. First, you do the LLB level, and secondly, you do the professional level. The problem is that right now there are so many people trying to do the professional course. It cannot take all of us, and so they are finding ways and means to bottleneck the process. And I find it ingenious that they make it into a suggestion that there is a quality, assessment, issue at stake, and that is a meritocracy. It is really not. Because if you take any exam, let's take the ACCA, any exam in the world, if it is about meritocracy, right, it tests you on every single thing that you have done. So if you take constitutional law, you write an exam on, let's take ACCA. How many exams do you write before you become a chartered accountant? You write a lot of them. In this particular exam, you have a 7-week period after you graduate from your tertiary institution to write this exam. You are to learn any one of, let's say there are 9 subject areas in 10 courses across 2 semesters, so 180 topics. Your questions are going to be 2 compulsory questions coming out of any of these 180 areas. That's not a meritocracy. I can go into this exam knowing everything but the 2 questions that come. And somebody can go into the exam knowing nothing but 2 questions that come. That person is going to go in, I'm not going to go in. It has nothing to do with meritocracy. If you want to raise the standard of lawyers in the country, bring a free and fair system that allows assess the quality, assess the intelligence, assess the capacity and the capability. But when you create this bottleneck, just allow a few to go in because you, the people who are in charge, have sat down and for this thing to snowball. In which industry do you have a 93% failure rate in headstone row? Where? Name one. Even in football, a striker who has a 7% conversion rate will sit on the bench. In which industry you have a 93% failure rate and you blame everybody but the people at the top? I don't know. Maybe I am in the system, so maybe I'm just being emotional about it. But if I take a step back and I look at this thing rationally and objectively, nothing about it makes sense. And I agree perfectly with the gentleman that was on the line before.
And so, Prince, I'm guessing that you do not buy the arguments that this is an issue of space, that there isn't enough space.
Oh, no. I do buy. I think that I feel like there might be challenges at the top. Maybe it's a space issue, but that is not a problem that cannot be solved. Why don't you just allow the University of Ghana and other institutions that are well equipped to offer this course to offer it? We don't have too many lawyers in this country. We might have too many lawyers in Accra, but we don't have too many lawyers in this country. Our legal aid department is understaffed. Our attorney general department is understaffed. We are not so rich a country in our human resource area that we can afford to let some of our brightest and best go on the back of some administrative problems. This is a problem that can easily be solved. I talk to anybody. Let's say I'm young, so let's talk to the more experienced heads like Denzel and Co. Let's see what they have to say. This is a problem that can easily be solved. I just feel like there hasn't been enough impetus to solve the problem. And we are waiting for the day that something like what happened in KNUST will happen. And then we say, oh, the students are bad, oh, this, oh, that. But really, you are sitting down and people are paying huge sums of school fees just to go through a bottleneck. That doesn't make any sense. If you were testing, look, let me tell you something. If you were testing law students on the 10 courses that they have written, like how we did at WASI, how we did at BC, and you had a lot of people failing, I doubt you get the uproar like this.
I definitely get that, Prince.
Yes.
And I hear you, and I'm definitely with you. But let me wrap up with Gabriel and then just come back to you. Gabriel, so you've been listening to Prince and similar sentiments that you guys have shared. But just before you go, what is your backup plan? Just in case you get to that point and you're not able to get into the Ghana School of Law, what's your backup plan?
The interesting part of it is that most of us, as you are rightly aware, already have our first degrees. I personally hold a first degree in electrical engineering. So law is something I'm doing after electrical engineering. So definitely some of us are not just idle. We have our careers. But before I wrap up anymore, there is something very, very serious that we need to take note about this legal education.
Okay.
You see, if you don't have spaces at the law school, it makes perfect sense that you stop people from reading the LLB rather than stopping them after they've read the LLB. So instead of allowing GIMPA to be admitting 300, Tech admitting 100, Legon 100.
Let's tackle the issue at that point.
Let's tackle the issue
so that we
at
don't
the
get
LLB
to the
level,
point where...
so that you don't come and overcrowd the people.
Right. Okay. I definitely get that. And thank you, Prince, for joining us, as well as Gabriel. And I'm going to go onto the phone and talk with lawyer and member of the Legal and Constitutional Committee, Mr. Inusa Fuseni. Sorry for more. Good morning, Mr. Fuseni.
No, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, does it come as a surprise that we're having this conversation again?
Yeah, it comes as a surprise because we thought that the General Legal Council would have learned from the past errors and mistakes that it had committed.
Right, okay. And in which area exactly do you think that they haven't learned and so this is happening again?
First of all, they appear not to be getting the strategy right. We have said it time and again that you can't use pre-colonial mentality to solve a 21st century problem. The school admits students from various law faculties across the country. The law school was built when there was only one law faculty. So it goes without saying that even with the infrastructure and increase, at that time that even the law faculty was the only source of feeding students in the law school, the number of students who gained admission to the law faculty were very small. And that was why the law faculty, the law school itself, was running an additional course which we called the professional, the part 1, part 2. Now, the law faculty itself today, if you go there, the number of student population can feed Makola. Not to talk of University of Cape Coast, not to talk of the University of Science and Technology, JIMPA, and the plethora of private schools. Now, it forces us to make a choice. The choice of letting the market regulate the profession of law. The market. So when you have the General Legal Counsel set the standard, you can either choose what happens with the training of medical doctors. Can you imagine if medical doctors from the University of Ghana who train at faculty of, at the Makola and do their post call at Makola, at what is it, Kolebu, and then you have the University of Science and Technology who train medical doctors who do their housemanship at G, that is the regional hospital in Kumasi. Then you have UDS who train medical doctors who do their housemanship at Tamale Regional Hospital. Can you imagine we're aggregating all these students at Kolebu? Kolebu will not have the facility to contain all of them. And that is why we believe you can either choose the medical school strategy of training lawyers, or you choose the professional accounting course, the ACCA method training accountant, where you allow the institutions to train in the various subjects after having satisfied yourself that the institutions have the faculty and the facilities, and then set a general exam like happens in America or the United Kingdom, and get people to, when they pass, the market will determine who is a good lawyer and who is a bad lawyer.
Right, sir. Now let's stay on the issue of space for a second. There have been some rumors that there are few people who failed the bar exam, and so they have not been called to the bar, and so they're having to do the course again, or they're having to repeat the course, and this is what has caused the numbers to have decreased this much, from 500 last year to 128 this year. Do you think, or are you aware that this is possible?
No, I'm not aware of that rumor. The rumor I have heard is that out of the 1,820 students who sat the exam, only 120 were able to get the pass mark, and a pass mark of 50. Then it beats my imagination of understanding the courses that these students undertook to qualify to be certified as LLB holders. Now, because you have students from the various established universities, and you have students from private universities. All of them are supposed to go through a certain coursework before they write, and they do it incrementally, year 1, year 2, and year 3, or some in year 1 and 2. And so before they get certified as LLB holders, the institution would have satisfied itself that they have otherwise gone through the prescribed course of study. Now, when you go and pick the examinations they wrote, to gain admission to the faculty, to the local law school, the questions were questions deriving from their studies at the LLB level. The question that I asked is it that the students did not apply themselves well to their course of study at the undergrad level or at the LLB level, or the marking scheme for the questions that were asked were radically different from the marking scheme that they are used to or were used to when they were doing their LLB study?
Great questions raised there, Mr. Inusa Fuseni. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll keep our eyes on this story.